Massachusetts, and then anywhere else in the world because we're online. Um, so hello to everybody who's online with us. People can also tune in later. So hello to the people who will tune in tomorrow or later and catch our recorded version of the meeting. For those who are participating, please turn off your microphone until you're using it, and we'll try to keep the general noise level down. Uh, I have been moderating these meetings. I'm having a getting older problem, which is affecting my accuracy in communicating with you by voice live. So, what I'd like to do is have more and more people start taking over functions Jill and I have been doing. We have some already aboard, but I hope you'll be suggesting good things to talk about as already is going on. I hope some of you will be volunteering to present some of them during the meeting. Easily done these days. And I just can't do as much as I've been doing before without messing it up. Wish I could. So today we have Jerry Feldman, who's going to do most of the moderating. And Jerry, why don't you tell us a little about what FOSS and Linux are all about? Very quickly.
Okay, well, FOSS, most of us know because most of us are regulars here, but FOSS generally is free and open software. It's a movement that you might comes out of the Free Software Foundation years ago, and Richard Stallman. And I just have to adjust my thing here. And let me just adjust my screen a little bit. Here we go. I seem to be a little bit on the, had some coming through. Dick is sharing his screen. And
should I stop that and clear it for you?
It's a little bit, well, it's a little bit different because you've got the infinite screen problem.
Shall I close it and let you do it at your end?
I can share the document real quick. If you unshare, I'll throw the document up here.
Did you unshare?
I guess I missed.
No, I have. Oh.
And this is our draft agenda for today, or our agenda for today, I guess. And you should be seeing it up on your screen. Am I still sharing? Yeah, I'm still sharing.
There it is.
Good.
No, that's
draft.
Yes.
Up there.
It's there, but it's really tiny.
You click on it. So anyway, Dick is going to share his, but essentially Linux has been around since 91. We've actually, in 94, I think, we, at the Boston Linux group, we had Linus speak to us. Unfortunately, I don't have the videos of those. So, but I will go ahead and do the moderation. Do we have any newcomers on here?
I didn't see any.
Yeah, I think most of us are regulars. So yeah, of course, I've been using Linux since about 1993. We adopted Linux at the Boston Computer Society a while back to do some of our email work. And back then, Linux used to crash all the time. It's hard to keep these servers up. But it's become much more stable. But for those of you who probably already know, Linux is based on the Unix operating system. And Unix has been around since 1970. And that's actually, if anybody knows anything about time in Linux, time begins on January 1st, 1970 at midnight. And so if you do any time calculations in software on Linux, that's what you're going to get. It's called epic time. I'm going back to you. I'm going to unshare. There we go.
Okay, Dick again. I'm going to try to share a different screen. First, is that me doing that? I think so. If it is, let's see if this works.
Not shared.
No, huh? Go, let me get it. Wait, I'll get it full size first. He said. About right. And now, how do I share that instead of what I'm
Go
sharing?
back to the Linux
It'll be
page.
faster this way.
You closed Firefox. You have to have.
I did.
Right, you're not on at all.
I don't know what hit, but it did. Coming up soon.
We're having a
It
little.
says it was open,
Okay,
but
let me set it up then. Share. Draft agenda. Allow.
good. And can people hear me too?
Yes.
I can hear you fine.
Good. Okay. We can run for mine, and let's see. Firstly, the Mozilla Festival should be coming up on my screen. You'd think, oh, I see what's going on. So I want to go back between two of the work areas. Can I do that
No,
online?
not the way I did it. I should have said share the whole screen.
Okay. Time to adjust again. I'm letting Jill do the adjusting of my computer. My interesting vestibule is telling me that I can do one thing at a time pretty well. Two things at a time, I forget both of them. It's not good.
You do not have Thunderbird open. I mean, you do not have Firefox open.
Yes, I do. Somewhere in there. Look, go look on the side.
Oh, it's in a different.
I'm in the right top workspace at the moment.
I need to go to NatickFOSS. Unshare. And then share entire screen and allow. And then go back to Mozilla Festival.
So simple, only a child can do it. Okay. Um, some of you already have this link. Some of you will have it soon. Um, I think I made it live online, so you don't have to wait for tonight when we get it posted. Uh, Mozilla, of course, puts out Firefox, a number of other interesting things, and they also put out a bunch of flavors of Firefox, including for your smartphone, et cetera, et cetera. Some of what interests me most about Mozilla is they're very much FOSS oriented. You get it for free. They don't throw ads at you. In fact, they give you tools for avoiding ads from others. Uh, and they're generally on our side and a fairly big professional group. So once a year, they used to have this festival, and they're back to having it despite the pandemic by going virtual. So here you can get a virtual ticket to the virtual Moz Fest, and it's coming up in a little less than a month, tail end of March. And they have quite a few interesting things. Early this morning, they posted the schedule of talks, which is a list of all the talks also, and quick descriptions. And so you can find that right now down in here somewhere. And you'll find a lot of information. I'd also tell you to look at the discussion on it of what the Mozilla philosophy is. You'll like it. And it's one of the reasons we lean on Mozilla for good things. They used to back Thunderbird as well. Then they stopped doing that. Another group picked it up and does it. But Mozilla is the host for finding it online. So they lean in a bunch of directions. Goodness gracious. How can I get this from talking? I guess I'll just keep killing them. So a new combination, and we're learning the game. So I think the very adept FOSS users will want to be here. What does it cost to join? Well, it costs clicking that button, and then you'll find they have some suggested amounts, but they say they don't want to keep anybody from attending. Click here to attend for free. And I like that approach. So again, I encourage the more advanced people to do it. If you're a beginner, I still recommend you browse through their list of well over 100 talks to see if there are 3 you'd really like to be at and catch them. Good group. And this is their big annual meeting for telling everyone what everyone else is doing and suggesting new things, airing out ideas that aren't yet running smoothly, the whole bit. It's a good thing to go to, and you can do it from home. So that's item 1 on my list. Let's see if this is working the way I want. Oh, it is. Good. That's what I wanted. Hope we can do it next time. Except I'd like to disappear the top half.
F11.
You think? Wrong. Can't be done.
Nope.
Next time. So that's extra good. Back in time used to be the standard default backup program for many, many, many Linux flavors, including the Ubuntu that we particularly like, and the flavor of Ubuntu that looks the way we like on the screen, which is Ubuntu Unity. But Ubuntu moved away to Deja Dupe, a different backup program. From what I've seen so far, it's not quite as good. But back in time, hadn't been updating regularly. Well, Back in Time is now back to updating regularly, and version 1.3.3 is the new version. So if you're interested in trying it, or if you want to get to the newest version of it because you know it and like it, here it is. You can just click and go. And you can read all about it also there. History. By the way, I'd like somebody to signal if they want to discuss any of these further. Interrupt me. And Jerry's there to help juggle all that.
Okay. I just want to reiterate that Back in Time 133 is also on the Fedora distribution.
Good. It's back in business then. And by the way, I tend to talk mostly from what I see through Ubuntu Unity. That's a subset of Ubuntu. Ubuntu is a subset of Debian, and Debian is one of maybe 4 major trunks and God knows how many minor trunks for Linux. So there's a lot of ways to look at it. I'll be talking from looking at it this way almost all the time. But Jerry likes Fedora, and a lot of the users here like other versions. We like to emphasize smooth versions because we have beginners who want to lead them into incredibly powerful items that can disappear your computer in a puff of smoke once you know the secret short word for it or keyboard combination. We don't want those so for this purpose. So if you have a good, friendly, fairly powerful version of Linux that you want to explain, come on, we're not limited to only mine. And thank you, Jerry, for commenting on that. I wonder if Ubuntu will go back to it. We shall see. By the way, you can also get a 1.3.4, and I don't even know if it's in official beta yet, but I found it online quite easily for Back in Time. That's for the heroes. Don't go there if you're not a hero. And that's it for my FOSS news. Does anyone have other FOSS news they want to toss aboard?
I might mention.
Oh, good. Please do.
Algot?
I was going to mention that the Free Software Foundation's annual get-together called Libre Planet is coming up in April. And while it is for the first time recently open for being present, I suspect that most of us will still probably think about going virtually because they're still going to carry forward virtual meeting options.
Well, thank you. I didn't list that one, but in fact, I'm wearing a green t-shirt today, which I guess will show up sooner or later, which was given to me at an earlier live LibreOffice conference. They're awfully good too. If there are any beginners out there, LibreOffice is kind of sort of like Microsoft Office and kind of sort of like a lot of other programs that basically allow you to write fancy papers in fancy formats, to write web.
Dick,
Yep.
let me interrupt. I was talking about Libre Planet Free Software Foundation.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I slurred the two together. Thank you. There's several of these conferences around, and I'm glad they're coming back now. So, okay, thanks. Any other FOSS news? Probably not. I found for FOSS history something I liked a lot from 2006. I think 2/3 of it is exactly right today. And I think a lot of people who start with Linux are very unhappy because they're used to what they do in Windows. Well, there are a few flavors of Linux that actually mimic that. There's a few front screens you can put on most any of the Linux versions to make them act that way. But if you get over to the Linux way of doing it and learn some new tricks, I think you'll find it's a lot better. So on the first week, you'll have your doubts. A year later, you'll say, boy, I'm glad I got out of that groove and got into Linux. And Linux can look various ways because the graphic user interface, the desktop and beyond, are applications. You can just change from one to another. And you can do a lot of things without them by going into a Linux terminal window, like so, and you can start saying things. What I'll say is a very tricky word, exit, and it heard me. And that's an even faster way of running things, and it's very flexible once you learn how, and I'll bring that up again a little later. But for now, I thought this 2006 explanation of why Linux doesn't want to be Windows and you don't want it to be, I thought it covered a lot in detail very nicely. So, and I point
Linux
out
Planet
here,
is March 19th to
I point out that
something.
that's a little while back, and this one, Linux distros are user-friendly, a lot of them. Some of them are no more than that little terminal window I showed you, and it's powerful and nice also. You can run Linux without, for instance, even having the capability to run graphics. And you see that in a lot of the little packaged gadgets nowadays that put it in to do things their buttons do for you. That's not much of a compromise, but you do have to switch a few gears as you get in. I think it'll be a good read for beginners. I think it'll be a great read for everyone who went through it 20 years ago and compare notes. Things are better every year. On hot, and that's the only history thing I had. Anyone else want to throw one in today? I'm going to take that as a no, and I'll proceed. We'll have time at the end if we want something. So, hot software. I'm continuing a bunch of these from last month. And in fact, for the most part, they'll be continuing into next month because I already told you last month where they're at. And they're a little smoother this month, but they're in the same place where you can go find them to try them or even switch to them for regular use because they're pretty solid by now. But I want to keep them in sight because at the end of April, there'll be old news. There'll be the new next release. So if you want to participate in shaping the new next release, you better hurry by using these. And again, this is the story for Ubuntu and for Ubuntu Unity. For those test laboratories, people are talking back and forth with each other and arguing which way would be the nicer one for the default method. And let's keep the other two available, things like that, and working it out. I'm looking forward to the final. And now we're on to some newer stuff. Blend OS is brand new. We were hearing it was coming out at our last user group meeting. And in fact, it's out. I'd call it a sort of a beta myself. It's changing almost nightly, I think. But nonetheless, it's out. And the author is the author that took Ubuntu and crafted it into Ubuntu Unity, which many users think is even nicer to work with every day. And Rudra is in India. His English is quite perfect and probably better than yours and mine because he's hip. Uh, he's turning, I think he's now 13 years old, and he brought out Ubuntu Unity when he was 10. He'd already been using Ubuntu for a few years and had some ideas. Some people are very talented, and I'm glad. Uh, so, Blend OS is his newest. What's different about Blend OS? Well, basically, you can run all the others. You can run it concurrently as if you're in Fedora or Ubuntu, etc., etc. And it purports to make everything easier for getting together when you want to between different kinds of Linux that are optimized for different things. Uh, I think by the time it's done, it's going to be marvelous. We'll find out. And this is an item. I think I've got a better link, but it was on before, if I remember correctly. And I think you will, if you're in Ubuntu, um, I think all of them do the same thing, which is there's a print screen button up on the top next to the right corner on your keyboard. And I think it's supposed to give you a full screen print, an image file, just for tapping it. That may be. I've found I've been getting limited on it lately. I'm in Ubuntu Unity. There's a little crisscross there. I'm a little confused over whether it's just me or it's everyone. But
Not
I
me.
use, Jill is running it with just a tap on screen print. Alt, I'm on a print screen. That's the button's name. It makes a screen print. And Alt print screen gets me a full display. But I've got something I like even better. It's available, and it's Shutter. Do I have it on today's list? I'm not sure.
Don't think so.
Maybe I'll put it on next month's list. But I have switched to using Shutter for print screen operations. I think it's even nicer and has a lot of nice options. I could take this screen, I could underline the one I'm talking about right now, and I could put my cursor pointing right at it, and I could take a screen print of that or only of the window it's in or whatever, lots of choices. Ubuntu print screen is good, but I think this is even better. And I've been doing a lot of nice things with it. My Ubuntu print screen, I found no way with my current computer setup to print this very top bar, which has a lot of interesting things in it the way I run it. No problem with the other program. And it's free. You just install it and you're up and running. So maybe next month we'll go into detail on that one. Let's see. Oh, and Ubuntu, when you do that print screen tab, it doesn't do what I want, but you can change it. And there's some notes down here on changing it. So I think I'll leave it for now unless people want to go back to it later. But that's the point of that tool. There's many other tools here. And some of them are articles. Some of them are actual forth tools, like the dual antenna booster, essentially. Lots and lots of things. I've got a big list of them on my page for it, but it's a very small list of everything that's on it. I could just click it to look at the weekly newsletter we put out, and that's Let's see. No, this is our weekly newsletter, I believe. Let's find out.
I don't think so.
Maybe right. I guess you're right. It's not. But
We're
I
going to
thought.
have to go over to Firefox.
Oh, thank you, Joe. Sleep at the switch.
Click on Firefox.
Not
Um,
photo.
Not Photox.
Yeah, where am I?
It's above. It was right above Photox. The orange square.
This one?
Yes.
There we are now. Okay. And so I can do various things when I'm in Firefox.
You're in Firefox now.
And hopefully you've got your screen set so you can see my Ubuntu screen and my cursor running around up near the top center.
Yes.
Good. And I like Ubuntu as my preferred way to see the world through the computer. We have other choices, but that's a good one. And in it, I'm currently using Firefox. That's its icon just under top center.
You were talking about the newsletter, dear.
And now we'll take a look at the newsletter. Says it's in here. And let's see, up on mine, I'm lost. I did it too.
What are you trying to do?
Open the newsletter from that. I guess I can open it from here. It'll serve. Probably an extra copy.
Are
And,
you looking for your weekly newsletter or the Ubuntu weekly newsletter?
the Ubuntu weekly newsletter, which
Weekly
is it?
newsletter.
Oh, here we go. Found. And you can contact them, just read the current issue, whatever. You can put in editing notes, but this is the current issue and it has lots of information. And you can go to things you like. It's very powerful. And I keep it right up on my screen where I can get to it easily. And you may want to also. So for instance, this is, come on, where's your date? Here, oh, this is back in February. So let's see. Why don't I do it? I don't want to do it, actually. I was doing something else. Sorry. How do I bail?
Alt-Tab.
Let's try
You want
that.
to go to Thunderbird. Or go to Thunderbird.
See where I was.
Where did you close Thunderbird?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I
you've
must have
got it.
switched it to this, I think.
No, it's a different desktop. Go to your change desktops.
Dum-dum-dum-dum.
I don't know how because
There
I
it
don't
is.
do it.
Yeah, let me find my stuff. Okay.
No, not here. I
I'm
think it's on your.
I'm having one of those lovely lapses. Sorry.
Where's the thing for changing desktops?
It's on. I'm on top of it, as we know, but that's not helping. There we go. And
That's
Right.
not it. I wish I could help you.
You want to go to your launcher on the left edge of the screen and get back to Thunderbird.
thank you.
It's
This is what I was
further
talking
up
about.
the list. Further up the list.
Let's go all the way to the top and come back. I see it, but there's one for mail. I think what I want.
Yes, you want that
I
one.
really do.
You want
Yes.
the mail.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Okay. The mail is in the mail. Okay. And okay.
We did the Ubuntu screenshot. You're down at hot hardware.
Uh,
Hot hardware.
oh, that's where I am. Good. Thank you. And oh, you can look these up later once you learn how. Hot hardware. First of all, we've been pushing this computer for some time now.
The speaker.
This a speaker. Isn't it going to come up?
If
Where
it
am I?
did, you have to go back to Thunderbird.
The red
I mean,
ones, the red ones
Take-
are not live links on your screen.
I think I want to go
Yes,
back
they
to
are.
the other.
Go over and go to Firefox again.
Yep. Back to real life. And this is the speaker we're using today. And we think it sounds wonderful at our end, much, much better than what's built into a laptop. You might have a super speaker set on a desktop, but this is a tiny item. It'll fit in the cup holder on
In your car.
in your car. One end will just go in, and the controls sits up top, etc. And it's pretty light, and it's sound. It's stereo if you're close enough to it. But they also know how to take two of the same speaker and link them so neither one is in stereo, but between them you're in stereo. You can separate them up to 200 feet apart that way with your computer in the middle and cover a huge room with good sound. It's not the best, but it's so close to it for its price and size that we've been pushing them. We don't sell them. We just say you ought to go buy one. And you can click and find out how to order it online. We have advice for that. We
Dick?
think they're really good. Yep.
What do you use as your sound source to drive these speakers?
You can use your computer with it online or not online, your stuff or stuff someone else is doing. I'm hearing you on it, and I could hear something you're playing just as well.
You can connect it to your phone, via Bluetooth to your phone or your computer or your car's audio system. Probably other things as well. It's Bluetooth.
And that means basically you can combine it with anything, including your telephone, and talk to people around the world with really good stereo sound, as long as the connection itself is good. Much better than we expect for phone calls any other way. So it's in here, and this is the instructions, is how to download and use it. But I can turn it on, I can utilize it, look at anything online and share it with you too, as long as we're connected. Very powerful tool, and the tool we prefer for using with it is, come on, I know, Joe, what's the word?
I don't know.
Time out while I remind myself of what I know.
No, not there.
Uh,
Are you trying to go back to Thunderbird?
no, the link program.
Yeah, Thunderbird. It's not there. You have to go to your dash and find it there.
Well, let's think. I'm sorry, I'm blanking here.
Left-hand edge of the screen.
And
Thunderbird.
I thought I had something better to offer on this.
Well, I think you do, but you don't, because I don't know how to get to it because it's on a different desktop.
Well, I bet I do.
Here you are.
But anyway, so you can link it into your computer, and whatever your computer is doing, you can change it to other channels, go to someone else's computer, log on that, and do it. We support clients as Miller Microcomputer Services. We can put their computer up on the screen and run it from here. They still see what we're seeing and see what we're doing. It's got a lot of things you can do with it. So very much recommended, but not the only tool for the job, like everything else on computers. Uh, so highly recommended.
Next item is
Let's
this
see,
one.
where am I?
$10 link
Done with that.
USB dual antenna booster.
Stereo speakers.
You just
That's
did
what
that.
we just talked about.
Good. Okay. I thought we were on the UNS in particular, because there's more, many more. This one, I've put a little black question mark on it for the time being. We've already bought one, but we don't have it. It's with a client who I think we'll be visiting tomorrow. That got stalled a few times. So I thought we were going to be able to report on it. I simply can't yet. But $10 to add a dual antenna to your computer that doesn't have one or that has one that's much too weak, very attractive. I'm waiting to play with it myself, maybe tomorrow, and we'll post something newer for it when we have it. I won't wait till next month to post it, but we'll talk about it next month. And if this $10 one isn't a win, we definitely have a $20 one that is. You attach it to your computer via, I think, USB, and then you have a powerful antenna, a very effective one.
Then it has an extension, maybe 6 feet of extension cord or 3 feet, something like that.
Yeah, if you want to hang it out the window or something for better reception, you can do that too. So anyway, this little $10 one is designed to just plug right into a USB port, but you can also have a USB male-female cable and take it to somewhere else that has better reception where you are. Looks very promising, and I thought we'd be able to report on it. Stay tuned. This is very interesting. We are told that you can now buy 5.0 solid state drives, those sticks that go in instead of a hard drive, and you can now buy them. But the ones I've seen so far come ready to mount as if they're a hard drive, a SATA 3 connection, and many laptops and any desktop will take them. For a standard SSD enclosure, but they run about 4 times slower than the best sticks do, and don't save you any significant money. So it depends what you've got in your computer in the way of sockets and holders or external ways to plug them on. And the news is they're now selling ones that are not only fast, they're twice as fast as the fastest SSD sticks we've been playing with. That's fast. Well, the article is a good early one on the subject. Its bottom line will tell you that the prices are way high. I think a terabyte costs sort of things like $500. For the ones we like, a terabyte will cost you about $60 to $80 this year. So these are opening at extremely high prices, and they run hot. So they need a heat sink on them. The ones we use do not require that. And these aren't heat sinks. These are heat sinks that are big. I don't think you could possibly fit one in a laptop. So we're waiting for the second hand. But there's something else wrong with them also. And that is your computer may not be able of getting much faster, even though the drive is. Between the drive and the screen, there's a lot of other stuff going on, and it's limited in speed too. So if you're tempted, I'd say read the article and wait. But if anyone wants to go ahead early, we'll be interested in a report on it in another month.
Question.
Comments?
Yes. Perhaps I have not yet read the article, but I'm wondering if these are the kinds of solid state drives that are intended for use in data centers.
It would be more practical in a data center, except most of them are used to racks that stack these close together. They can't. You'd have to use every fourth rack, maybe, every fourth socket in the rack, because the heatsink is so big. People are talking seriously about taking the whole set of these little big drives and putting them all into a liquid cooler. Just now, it's got to be a liquid cooler that doesn't short out the system. But those exist, and that might be interesting. But for your average small desktop or laptop, I think it'll be an interesting read, but not a run out and buy. That's my take on it. And I predict that within half a year to a year, they'll be down to at least half price and more reliable. That's just me shooting from the hip, but we've seen it before.
These are definitely server type things. You're not going to have them on your desktop unless you're really a professional and you need the performance.
Well, people are talking as if they will.
Kids, do not try this at home.
Right. And not yet in the bathtub either.
Yeah, the way they generate heat, they're not practical for laptops, that's for sure. They're probably not practical for most desktop towers unless you're a gamer and you already have liquid cooling.
Some of them can run well the other way. And this is just a discussion of the first ones that are actually available. But I believe it links to promises of things to come also. I thought it was a good article, and mostly a warning for this week, as we're all saying. But that too will happen. Hot internet, Mastodon philosophy. I thought it was pretty good. For those of you who didn't tune in last month, Mastodon is an alternative for talking with each other with a program that is not your typical proprietary, let's all get together and chat, a Firefox. Or
Sort of like
not a Firefox, I did it. Come on.
Twitter?
Not Bluetooth.
It's a sort of like a
Facebook, that's what I'm trying to say.
well, it's sort of like a hybrid between Facebook and Twitter.
Right. It's got the best of both and left out the worst. They're both problems in many ways. This is an attempt to bring out an alternative that works very well on the user's side, like Firefox, which I mentioned earlier, for a different job. And if you want to chat with 5 of your friends, or maybe have a meeting like this, Mastodon is getting very nice. It's not the only one. You've got a lot of choices, but this was a good one, an article to read on that sort of topic. how to get together from around the world on the internet and just be attached, video and audio, or either one. It's a good read. There are other ones. In fact, today we're using Jitsi, which is sort of in the same.
No, Mastodon isn't like Jitsi. It's
Well,
you type things in. You don't. It's more
Oh.
like Twitter and Facebook.
yes, I agree with that. And Jitsi has a lot of similar items also. So just thought it was a good read for now. If somebody wants to demo and run with it, that would be nice. I'm trying to find things for other people to do for more of the talking time on our meetings. So that might be a good one. I just wanted to put it out there for reading and maybe getting someone else to give a good presentation. Wallpaper. Our desktops like to have nice wallpaper instead of just a white screen like this. And most of you know what I'm talking about. But here's a place you can get even more great wallpaper. You can go there and get lots of choices, including some that are active. They're little movies on the screen. And they're generally lightweight if you have a medium power computer. You can run the active ones. The other ones will be fine on any computer. And I thought this was a good article to get you started on it. Similarly, on the internet, DistroWatch is where all those flavors of Ubuntu. Here's where you can easily keep an eye on what just changed on which one and why you don't care, or maybe you do. And you can go find out more about it. And you can look up the one you're using and learn more about it often. So it's a very nice online website to know about and keep track of. We get a lot of news for you from it, and so do some other our users and friends online now.
You covered that.
Similarly, if you're using Ubuntu, as we are, or that is an Ubuntu or Ubuntu flavor, a distro that was built from it, the Ubuntu weekly newsletter will be golden. We get a lot of our notes from that, and you can go there direct and look at old ones, et cetera, et cetera. Once you have a topic you're having trouble with and know what the word is, you can look it up easily. Resources for newcomers. This is a section in the Ubuntu weekly newsletter. I would encourage users of other versions to bring up some of their equivalents of this, perhaps next month. I'm not trying to make it aimed only this way, but it's the way that we're good at. So this is basically a book that you can click on online. You can buy it in print, but you can just click and read it page by page on your screen. And here's another one. These are for more advanced users or users who are ready to see if they want to be more advanced. They want to get into a little kind of programming that's simpler than full software programming for just manipulating the Linux you're using online, but then you can go on and use it for other things too. I used it very briefly when I typed in exit on that demonstration before. Back here somewhere. Doesn't mind. Never mind. I showed it to you earlier. Little black box on the screen. Opened it and then I just closed it again with exit. A very simple command line command. So for those of you who are already into it deeply or who are ready to coast into it, I thought both of these were good. I think the second one is the easier one. Uh, they're both by the same author, and he's got a website right over here that you might find equally interesting. It's got those items and others as free downloads, but I've given you the links to those too. So that's an interesting set for people that want something more advanced. If you're just starting with open source, leave that for a while later. Have fun with the easier ones first. Any other comments on any internet subjects?
Live streaming is on.
Okay, we're back in business.
Live streaming is on.
Okay, we're back in business. And so let's see. I think we're on to computer security, privacy, and freedom. A big mix of stuff. So here's two different items, really both on the same subject, but they're leaning on different angles of it. And this is on one tool that isn't distributed as a hack tool, but I might be able to use it to wipe your computer clean of everything on it. Lose all your programs, all your data, your messages, your pictures. It looks like a little red key, flat, made out of plastic. And once you plug it in, you've got a lot of power in your hands. So I put it in as a sort of a half of a hack tool. And I put this one in as the rest of the hack tools combined, a comment. And I suggest whether you're a beginner or an expert, take a look for the parts you don't know and think about what they have to do with how you use your computer and how your friends use their computers. I think it'll talk you into moving to Linux if you haven't. And I think that it'll give you a lot of better ways you can use the Linux you're using.
You might want the wipe if you are selling your computer or giving it away or even trashing it.
This is a useful tool, but that's not to say it can't do damage. And hack tools are sometimes very useful, but mostly used for causing damage. Again, they can reach out and hit somebody else in some way. Arch Linux is one of the popular good versions of Linux for home use and business use. And somebody built on that, and they built Black Arch Linux. Black Arch Linux is designed for being aware of these things, going in, measuring what they do and what they don't do, measuring whether they're there in disguise on your computer, etc., etc. It's a powerful tool for fixing, for checking, and for trouble. So you can read about it before you play with it. You can get it over on, this is the opposite. It's interesting, and you can think about it over there. But what you want to do is see what UNet Putin has to say about it. And here's a message. Do not use UNet Putin to write .iso files to flash drives. We've been doing that for a couple of decades, I think. And you put UNet Putin in your computer, you put a thumb drive in or a CD disk or whatever, and it helps you to write what you've got from your computer to the disk. And .iso files are files that you're going to be able to use to create new versions of Linux, for example. So what they're saying is, I think Black Arch is warning, don't use UNet Putin for this. These are three separate links. Black Arch, look at the underlines, and it's about UNet booting. And here's the message. They're saying, don't do it.
Dick?
I think you can. So I'm a little puzzled about that. Comments?
Dick, my sense of reading that was that it had a complaint about the way the boot sequencing was rearranged because
Yes.
UNet Booten organizes to allow Windows and Linux to cohabitate. And I think that the Black Arch and Arch group of users tend to be the ones who want pure Arch Linux and nothing else even close to it. So they don't recommend using UNet Booten or probably any others that make it easy for users to mix things. I'm not positive, but that was my take on it.
My take on it was a little different. It was that it would actually uh, corrupt your flash drive if you put .iso files on the flash drive and then move it back to your computer or somebody else's to install those programs. But again, UNet Booten does not seem to be worried about it, and the uh, concern was from a long time before now. I didn't pick up a later comment on it, other than UNet Booten thinks it's quite reliable now. So I don't know the answer. I'm bringing this up as another issue that somebody may want to dig into. And my next question was, any .iso flash files going onto a flash drive will corrupt, or are there a few particular ones? I did not get the answer easily from there. Uh, so I throw this out to the sharper people on this group to see if they can make heads or tails out of whether UNet Booten is in big trouble, is in trouble about just a few known files, or what. So far, I'm not convinced there's any trouble. Uh, so I'm interested. I'm not giving you an answer today.
I've used
Finally,
I've used
say
UNet.
again.
I had used UNet Booten for years, and then my images, I wasn't able to do the images anymore, so I just switched to the built-in and Fedora Media Writer, and then now I'm using that other tool that I forgot the name of. That does
Is it
multiple.
Deja Vu?
No,
There is a tool called Ventoy, which has become quite popular because it makes it really easy to add and to change ISOs on a multi-ISO, multi-booting flash drive.
yeah, I couldn't remember the name of Ventoy. Ventoy is
Oh,
excellent. You can put
we
multiple
recommend
those on your flash drive.
Ventoy changes part or all of your thumb drive so that it's expecting to use .iso files,
Yeah.
which is the way you normally get a new version of Linux, some programs also.
Yeah.
And in general, ISO files are designed to put onto your computer, and then from them you build the running version. It's not the running version. But if you have Ventoy on your thumb drive, you can just throw the file onto the Ventoy section and it will boot and run. You don't have to install it in the computer.
And it will
Yeah,
ask you which of the many ISO files you want to run.
It's very, very nice.
Yeah,
So again, that's
the most useful thing that it does is it allows you to use the utilities that you will use to set up a computer, like gparted, or if you have to fix the boot, you can do grub repairs and things like that, all in one place.
right. when we as a company sell somebody a computer or just take their computer and put Linux on it, we send them home with a thumb drive. The thumb drive we send them home with allows them to reboot if the computer gets totally clobbered. If it's not a piece of broken hardware, you can come in separately from it. And we just think they ought to have it. And wherever they are, we can mail it to them cheaply enough and talk to them over the phone about using it if it becomes necessary. So these are very valuable tools. Well, there's options, which one to use, etc. But we are really keen on Ventoy for our own use. We can pick up and use things on other computers easily just by having that little thumb drive in our pocket. We don't have to do conversions before it will run. A lovely tool. And I think we talked about it 1 or 2 months ago. You can look through our archives if you'd like to catch the talk on it. Thanks. Good point.
Yeah, and one
And,
other thing, Ventoy can do persistence, so you can actually change settings and make them permanent.
Yes, very, very nice tool. VENTOY. She'll make a note to add that to our notes for today.
I did.
Good. Way ahead of me. So that'll be up tonight with a link. Let's see. Anything else on security, privacy, and freedom?
Firefox browsers and Firefox Focus.
Oh, right. I told you earlier that Mozilla Firefox comes in a lot of flavors. This is a little article on that, and I recommend you read it and see which ones you want. Firefox is now mentioning something new. Firefox Focus. You could put that on your smartphone instead of a regular Firefox browser designed for your iPhone or Android smartphone. And it looks very powerful to me, but I'm wondering whether it also does everything you can do with the others. I've got a question mark for it. That's an invite for the hotshots to take a look and report on it next month, give a talk. What it does that's different is it has sort of developer level tools to go in and to play and to test. And I think it also either can or must totally hide your name, all your information that you don't want to get ripped off. So it's a better tool in some ways. I want to know, is it missing anything? Can you just take off Firefox instead? And I also want to know, is it any other problems with it? I found one report on a problem, but I think it's been repaired by now. So these links will get you into that discussion. That's everything I've got on security, privacy, and freedom. Oh, except Firefox is going to hide who you are, like a virtual private network, like various things you can put on your computer or link to from someone else's server, maybe where you connect to the internet. But this one's on your smartphone, built on. Interesting. I want to hear more about it. FOSS fun. Okay, this one is going to be fun in late April. And that's about when we're going to have our new Ubuntu released, and probably on the same day, the new Ubuntu Unity. It will be hot off the press in its final release form. And I think it'll be fun to show non-users how our computers work and how other computers they attach to can work. It'll be at Framingham State University, and it'll be on Earth Day. So it'd be particularly nice if you're going to demonstrate some useful, interesting stuff about Earth Day, but in Linux and featuring why the Linux tools are free and can do those things for you. So people are beginning to think of what they want to demo.
We have some volunteers already.
We already have one volunteer who doesn't have a suitable laptop for the job, and we're loaning one. So we've got a lot of options on how to do it. If you're ready to show other people how to do it, this is a ball. If we have enough people volunteering, half of them can be roaming around at the other booths at any given time. And that's a great amount of fun, too. Science and on State Street means at Framingham State University. So you're welcome. It won't cost you admission. And if you've got questions, you can ask Jill and me or a few others, or just post them on our all the time on option for NatickFOSS Discuss. And other people will chime in on it too. We talked about the finger, spelled wrong, cursor theme last month, but I think I didn't get a really good chance to demonstrate it. So for instance, I think the State Street one might take a while coming up. Let me see if I can do it from here. And if I can, it's see my little hand with a finger on my screen. I think it'll be that on most people's screens, but not all. But that little cursor pointer, I'm going to use it to click in a moment. And when I do, it will start my cursor, my pointer for when we're online and looking. And that's the one I'm talking about for the finger cursor theme. It's the one I think is most interesting.
So remember, you have to go over to.
Oh, I have to go back?
You have to go
over
here to Thunderbird.
Get to the other screen.
Right.
And now, we'll go to that one. How do I get to it from here?
Well,
Maybe
you
that.
probably want to close this pop-up.
Think this will just go? Darned if I know.
No, there's no link there. Well, for instance, their drop-down menu.
Can I go back? I'm on regular Firefox, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's your finger on the.
So I want to go back a level.
Back a level?
Maybe like so. That might do it. And where I want to go is anywhere I can't get to easily. It takes a while. What's here?
Observe 38 should be released by the State Street. Science on State Street.
Ooh, I thought that would be running during the time it was going here. I guess maybe I'm not displaying it right well.
No, that's something you had a tab open for already.
Well, let me stay up here for it. Oh, so I should go hunt for something?
Yeah. Why don't you put on maps.google.com, which you.
What dot?
Maps.
Oh, good. Okay, yeah, that'll take a while to come up, I think.
.google.
Oh, that'll do it. And what I want you to see, I'm not seeing it, darn it. I'm seeing a smaller cursor, but not the one that's so interesting.
Oh, is that the big spinner that you've got?
It's a big color wheel spinning. Very nicely done. And can I or can't I get it up on that demo? We don't know, do we?
No. But you don't want to go there.
May I interrupt?
By the
Sure.
way, By the way, you heard me talking about water-cooled CPUs. Uh, on my computer, I'm ready for them. I've got the water cooling built in. See it there?
The waterfall.
Toward the upper right.
No, Alga would like to interrupt.
And it generates electricity too. And if you believe that, I'll tell you another one. Algot, what?
Are you currently using these finger cursors?
Yeah, when I'm on a link, it turns to my finger cursor. Are you seeing it on Google Maps down in the middle?
What I'm asking though is, are you using that theme group that you mentioned? Because
Yes.
okay.
Oh,
So
you mean I've changed it?
It's a different finger than the one I have, which is just a standard system finger.
the
Yours is?
regular
you are.
pointer.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's my finger pointer. This is my arrow pointer, now smaller than, and this is my marker without any action attached.
Right.
Can you see it there?
Yep.
There's the arrow. And if I go to anything that's a link,
click on this link here.
Which?
Maps.google.com.
I have clicked, but I'm not seeing my interim cursor.
I'm not seeing it either. Maybe
Tune in next month, folks. I just wanted to make sure we gave a good demo of that cursor. And if anyone else can, that's fine too. It's, I think, the most spectacular cursor I've seen yet. And sure enough, it's gone invisible. Imagine that. Let's see.
I suggest you go over to here and
to
turn
here.
on, to Natick Playing.
Okay.
And
try it from there.
And turn off your screen sharing, because the next thing is going to be Alga demonstrating Kubabble.
It is turned off. That's it.
No, you're sharing your screen, dear. I've got it here.
That's true. Why am I sharing my screen if it says it's not sharing?
I don't know. Click on it. I think.
What will we learn?
And now it turned it off.
Okay. You mean the line is backwards today?
Yes.
Oh boy. I did something wrong that I'm not going to stop to think about.
Thunderbird, but it says Kubabble Logic
Thunderbird
demo
or Firefox?
by Algod. So turn it over to Algod.
Okay. I think I have, haven't I?
More or
less. By opening it?
Yes. You're clear to demo.
So I'm going to share my screen. And then I'm going to shift over to show the Kubabble home screen. Can everybody see it?
Yes.
Okay. It's a brand new game from what I can determine. And I've been working at it for about 2 weeks. My current level is where I'm at 37 after having not succeeded quite completely at 36. You get stars for solving it in the allotted amount of turns. And what I'd like to do is just demonstrate the first one so you get a flavor for what the puzzle does. Dick, I think you're not muted for one thing.
Here I go.
Because I was hearing myself in feedback. In any case, I click on level 1, which I have already succeeded at. And the idea is to move these place markers by dragging them And every time you do, you've done a move. And I have the chance to undo that move if I want to, with the goal of eventually getting the orange one to the bottom left corner on this puzzle and the green one beside it at the bottom, but only for this puzzle. They move around to different levels, have different goals. So my goal here is to try to figure out the smallest path to get those parts and succeed in 5 moves by doing what I can. So if I do 1 and 2 and 3, if you look at the left over here, I've done 3 of my goals 5. And it turns out that this is exactly where I wanted to be, because in 2 more moves, I know I can solve it. Can anybody tell me which I should move next, the orange or the green? Anybody want to guess? Well, in this case, it's the orange, which puts it in its final place, and then the green, which gets me the optimal score. The idea is that you can succeed if you practice and undo or practice and try again, because if you go other pathways, while you might think you're going to get there, that's 3, that's 4, that's 5, and that's 6. But you can see that 6 moves takes away one of my stars. I didn't achieve their optimal level. And my goal has been to just try to figure out how to get the optimal level on every single one of the puzzles. When I go back to the menu, I can find out more information by clicking on this. It lets me do settings. And I have a rank of Kubobler, which is not all that much when I have read through the documentation a little bit. There are over 1,400 puzzles in this. I don't play it with sound, but I have a lot of fun as I try to figure it out. So I can go back. Level 2 is a little more difficult. Level 3 is a little more difficult, and so on down the line. It's interesting because the entire game gets cross-loaded as fundamentally a JavaScript file, and all the storage of your scores occurs on your computer. There's something known as local storage, which is different from cookies. And local storage is something that's available in browsers. And the whole system is actually loaded onto your computer before you start to play. And then you can read information about it if you want to join the Kubobel Discord channel, which I have not done. I'm not interested in Discord particularly at this point in my life. But I think that's a neat little game. You find it at kubobel.com. And just as a quick demo, I have a cursor like the one that Dick was describing, which I have been able to activate by doing a Control-9 on my keyboard. It's not automatic, but it's designed for this kind of presentation, I think, to help people see where your pointer is. Anybody have any questions before I give the screen back?
I don't have a question, but I do have a thank you. That should be fun to try. Let me see. Uh, Now we're up to our game of the month by the month of the gamer, Dennis Payne. What you got, Dennis? I'll get off again.
You're off.
Yeah, you're already off. Uh, you should be able to see my screen now. Yes. All right. So the game that I found for this month is a game called Fight or Perish. It is designed to be similar to two other games that are called Dandy and Gauntlet. It apparently takes elements from both of them. The reason that it's called Fight or Perish is because the author liked the fact that the game it's based off of is called Dandy, and so this game comes up with the abbreviation of FOP, which he thought was kind of appropriate to go with Dandy. The game is pretty simple. So you go over and you start it up. It can play up to 4 players at a time. You can choose between what different types of character you want to play. Each of them have different abilities. So you have characters, they have 3 different stats for strength, like your damage, your defense, and your speed. And so depending on what you choose, it has different abilities. And then once you start the game, you're in this little maze. You can pick up this key, and that'll allow you to open this gate down here. These little worm-like things are the only enemies in the game. You can fire by holding down the right control key and pressing in a direction. So you can open this gate and then shoot all the enemies. And so then you could just go over and leave. Now this is an intro level, so these levels are designed to be pretty easy. Another feature of this game is that the reason they say fight or perish is because the entire time that you're playing, your health is always going down. So, it was designed to eat quarters. So you need to have some reason that they have to keep putting in more quarters, as your health is always going down. Now this one, you have this choice of you could just leave, or you can go get the treasure. And so as you get the treasure, the enemies will attack you, and so you could get more injured. And then once you get to here, you get into the more complicated levels. I now have picked up a bomb, so I can blow up the enemies if I want. I'll pick up some of these items here. There's some power-ups in the game, so this one does more damage. And then there's food that'll help your current health. And I accidentally shot one of the bombs, so that they exploded. And so then you just wander around collecting other items and trying to make it to the end again. Now, the developer of this has a tendency to make a lot of interesting prototypes, but he doesn't necessarily finish the game into a fully playable state. So this game here, for example, it works as is, but this is the only level for it. So it's one of those things of if you make it to the end of this level, there's nothing else. It just exits the game at that point. But you have, you could go into these other rooms to go get more treasure if you wanted. Now, the other thing about this is that I do find that it looks rather plain at the moment. So, for example, I think you'd really want to start dressing up the graphics on this if you wanted to make it so that more people would enjoy the game. So, for example, if you had a free morning, like I did, you could go over and make some changes to it. And make it so that instead of the graphics you saw for the walls that were just plain like wooden, like planks or something like that, you can make some fancier looking graphics where the walls, they join together and everything. And you can see let me quickly get to the area with the bigger gates that you unlock. So you see these gates are much fancier than they were. So that's what I did earlier this morning. I was playing around with updating the graphics. Now the graphics of the enemies are still kind of bland. So I'd like to see those changes, maybe add in some more enemies. The files used for the levels themselves are just text files. So in the assets, or what is it? Oh, data, levels, I think it is, or maps. Maps. So he has these files that just, it gives how big the dungeon is, and then he has symbols for what it means for everything. So it tells where there's a wall and everything. Now, of course, I also was kind of still wanted to do a little bit more for graphics. So while the meeting was starting, I went over and played around with it some more. So yeah, you can make your own dungeons in this. So it might be hard to see here, but the graphics now have there's shadows around the walls. So they pop out a little bit more. So that's all I've done with it so far. I'm probably going to do more with it, of course, because I can't stop. One other thing I thought I'd mention was last month I demoed the Ladybug game. And since then, I have done some more modifications to it. So now you will see that it is called Lady Beetle instead. Because the arcade game was called Ladybug, I'd rather have a different name for this game. I have also, all of the graphics from Lady Beetle were screen captured from the actual arcade game. So now I've gone over and completely replaced the graphics with completely new graphics. So that way it's no longer infringing on any of the rights of the original game. The game has also been put on to the arcade machine, so it will be available for demoing at the Science on State Street. And that's all I have.
Super cool as usual.
Yes, indeed. Very nice, Dennis. I hope we have a lot of people at State Street because I want to roam around to see all these good things. Um, let's see. I wanted to get my screen back on, which I used to have a one-button way to do this, and I'll have to set it up again. Okay.
There you go.
Well, sort of, kind of. Here we go, I think. I'll keep that up. I don't want to lose the waterfall. And let's see, at this point, I had something I wanted to go back and do.
You want to go back to Thunderbird, to your menu?
I have some. The Unz Angle 3 Ultra 4th generation Bluetooth stereo speakers. Some of you saw a much better sale price than you can have today. Yesterday morning, they stopped a really good sale, and we've got second price now. Instead of being able to buy the speaker in question for $25 each, it's now $33. That's still quite a bit better than the list price of $50. And as I told you earlier, you may want two so you can have wide surround sound stereo instead of just two little stereo speakers in one box, maybe 5 inches apart. And very nice stuff. Let's see, I wanted to come back to that for the people who were confused. You've got the information for the $33 deal. And two of them are still $65 instead of $100 list price. And if you're getting the pair, I urge you, they come in several colors. Get contrasting colors, like one white and one black. It's only the front mesh panel in front of the speakers that's colored. But then we do that, and if we're setting it up for stereo, white on the right makes it instant to get them right without figuring out which one is where. Really easy. So don't get two of the same color for that purpose. They have some other interesting colors too, and we'll be able to click and find it. I think that's all I wanted to go back to. Did you have anything, Jill, that you?
No, that's everything's checked off.
We can open it for questions and answers. Anybody have anything?
I'd like to speak to thank people for looking at the new menu system that I put onto runman.org. Several of you gave me comments about how it worked, and I'm continuing to work on things, but it's really nice to have people feedback and give you suggestions. Thanks very, very much.
Thank you, Algot, too. All the people who get a first look at Linux, to the people, and by the way, half of these items also run on Windows and on Apple, providing you download the right flavor of the program. You're looking at a application I have on my computer called Variety. for photographs, we use Photox, spelled Fotoxx, and either of them and a bunch of other programs will run a slideshow. Photox will do about everything else you can do with a camera and the set of pictures as well. But this is a simple slideshow, and I have it on my desktop. Why not? And I have pictures. That's one I took. That's one I took of a quilt at a show. Uh, but some of them are just things I found and liked that I took. I'm interested in where the fungus is and where the moss is, etc. That's our local Shishawat Rail Trail that Jill and I pushed into reality for Natick. And these are pictures that I've taken with my smartphone. If your screen is sharp enough, you can appreciate how good the smartphone is when combined with Photox, a great secret. Oh, anybody have any other?
didn't take
That
this
I
one.
didn't take this one. Been there, didn't take the picture. That's philosophy in Paris. And this was
Elmbank.
in Natick a few years
No,
ago, I think.
I think it's Wellesley there.
So the sharpness capabilities of these little toys is that's somebody else's, and I was very happy to take it and recrop it, sharpen it up a little, which you can do in Photox. Downtown Natick, as some of you know, scenic downtown Natick, and so on. I'm kind of looking for ones worth commenting on because the combination does more than you'd think. I don't know. I'm sure there's more stuff that's interesting. That's from the window in the room we're sitting in, looking at the back of our house. So come summertime.
Not this year because it never really froze over this year.
Right. This is by a friend with a real camera. That's by me using some of the fractal programs we've talked about. I think this one was done with chaos, spelled XAOS, and so on and so forth. So snow on and so forth. So anybody else have any other questions, comments? Or is it a good time to wind down? Tune in tonight or after for the improved agenda list. And if you're on our mailing list for the FOSS user group, we'll send out an announcement when it's up online.
Who was talking?
I was just, this is Olga, jumping in to ask if you have a concern with something that's called the AVIF image file format. I've been playing around with it recently because Firefox announced that they are enabling it as opposed to some other format that was in discussion. And I noticed that Photox does not handle it.
Well, I'll point out that Photox can insert a link to most any other program. So I think it can handle it. It just isn't set up to default including it. But I have not used that particular combination, so I don't have a comment.
I attempted to open an AVIF file using Photox, and it either balked or just didn't open. And I wondered if you were in contact with its developer, you might ask what their plans are.
I think I will, and thank you for the clue. Do you have a particular, how did you get it?
The file is, I've been practicing with a photo I have of flour and found
Speak
a
of the devil.
converter. I beg your pardon?
I just had a flower show up on the screen, a bunch of flowers show up on the screen. As you said, flower.
Yep. And I converted it to the new format because they were telling us that the new format, the AVIF format, makes smaller files than JPEG. And it is intended to be a modernization of JPEG style storage with more compressed but equally good image quality. So I was
Oh, God.
experimenting
What-
with it. And go ahead, Joe.
What? I'm sorry. I was wondering what application you used to create the AVIF from another file, another picture.
I used a program called Convert, Convert, which is a recent development project. It's a GPL3 licensed program, and I'll add the link to it in the chat.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Isn't Convert part of ImageMagick?
Convert is a GUI overlay that uses ImageMagick. Yes, you could use ImageMagick directly to do the conversion, I think.
Yeah.
I'll mention there's the shirt I'm wearing. So from that wrong conference for the discussion back at the beginning of the meeting, and those are the kind of laptops we like, and we can talk about them another day. Uh, I had two other things I wanted to mention. I'm trying to remember. Dennis, you demonstrated a second game. Please email me the quickie description and URL for it, and I'll have that up for everybody to see also. And I think there was something else like that. Somebody else, I think, did a something that we don't have source for. Al got on the new image format. Send me info on that, okay? And I'll add that in too. Everybody good with that?
Sounds
Everybody
fine.
here? Where'd that come from? Oh, you're doing it.
Thought I could save the chat, and I can't figure out how.
Are we all done?
Well, I wanted this.
Oh, Jill's looking for something? Okay.
Yeah.
Hang on. I hear we have something of interest.
Converter at GitLab.
So if anyone who talked about something of interest, send me the link and a very short, a one sentence description of it. I'll try to include them too tonight. I think we're done. I guess thank you. See you next week. And in between, might see you on our discussion area. Jerry, you want to mention that?
Yeah, I kind of missed what you were saying, Dick.
Oh, I was saying the discuss forum that goes on all month. You might want to tell people about that.
Okay. You want to have a race?
Oh, wow.
With my car?
Oh,
By the way, for the next BLU meeting, which will be in 2 weeks, be the third Wednesday, we're going to have Bill Ricker on there discussing some cryptography. I'll share the URL. Let me share it. It'll take a sec. There we go.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, it will be 2 weeks Wednesday. We're 2 weeks from yesterday.
Jerry, send me the link.
Okay. It's always BLU.
And I bid you all a fond farewell.
Okay. Yeah, my system logged up 2 or 3 times a little bit. I think I got trapped by Dennis's game. And it came and bit my computer.
Interesting. Oh, I have a question before we close. I thought there used to be, I know there used to be on Zoom a way to save the chat, and I haven't been finding it. And I was hoping there was a way to save the full chat in Jitsi, and I can't find it. Am I just being dim?
I just use the normal highlight copy paste.
Well, I tried that and it didn't seem to work. I had
Put your
something else in
cursor-
my clipboard.
Put your cursor in there and Control A.
Yeah, that highlights it. Then
Yeah.
I did a Control C to copy it.
And
Then
that
I
should
went
get,
over to a text file.
Yep.
And
it's
when I
not a
did a
great way to
paste,
do it, but it works.
right. And when I did a paste,
Yep.
oh, that one works. That's interesting because I was
Magic.
trying to do it into my text editor, and it put in something that was old, even though I tried it like 4 times and it didn't work. But now it's working.
Thank you, Jerry. I don't know what you did, but I'm impressed.
No, it was Bob that did it.
Oh, thank you, Bob.
Yeah, it's a matter of copying and paste, highlight, copy, paste.
Yeah, it's strictly just Control A
Yeah,
is just select all.
Right. I thought I did that.
Oh, here's my way.
So I've got it now. Thank you.
And if you log out and back in again, you're going to lose the chat.
Right. Which is why I saved it in a file.
Yeah. So, I mean, earlier I did log out and log back in, and I can only get chat from about 3:51 up till now.
Uh-huh.
Because
Right.
that's when I logged back in.
Right.
Are we done?
I guess so.
I'll see you all next month.
See you next month.
Howdy ho.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.